The exact location of the battle between the Firbolg and the Danann is a matter of debate. Most believe it happened on the plain of Montura, between Caen, Cross, and County Mayo. Others claim the location was a bit further to the north in County Sligo. Those who make the argument for Sligo have some strong evidence on their side. Carramore, a Neolithic cemetery, is not far from the battle site. Carramore is the oldest Neolithic cemetery in Ireland. In fact, it's one of the oldest anythings in Ireland. It's some 800 years older than the better known Newgrange, and Newgrange is older than the pyramids. Those who argue that the battle happened in Sligo also claim that Carramore is the burial site for the Firbolgs who died in the fighting. But there is another legend about how Carramore came into being. And this is how it was. Long before the Firbolg or the Danann came to power, Ireland was inhabited by a race of gods and goddesses, one of whom was an earth goddess, Helga Bera. Bera's chief responsibility was to serve as the winter queen of Ireland and also to convey sovereignty on Irish kings. But since new kings were not required all that often, and she had summers to herself, she had plenty of time for other occupations, and one of those was keeping animals. She kept donkeys and cattle and sheep and all kinds of animals near her house on the cliffs we know as moor today. But the goddess had a problem. Her animals kept escaping, and she would have to go chasing after them. Chasing after animals on the rocky hills of Ireland's west coast was strenuous, and so Bera determined to build a stone enclosure to ensure both the safety of her animals and her own rest. So she flew around all around Erin, collecting rocks for her enclosure. For ease of transport, she carried them in her apron. But as she was flying home, a number of the rocks fell out and landed in what is today Carramore. Bera was disgusted with her ill luck, but she was determined to build her enclosure. So she collected another apron full of rocks and went home to complete the job. Regardless of whether the battle between the Tuatha De Danann and the Fir Bolg happened near Cong or near Carrymore, the outcome gave control of Ireland to the Danann, who would rule for 37 years. During their reign, they would construct one of the most important monuments in all of Ireland, Bryn Boyne, which translates into the mansion on the Boyne River. Today, this structure is called Newgrange, and this is how it was. Newgrange is said to have been built as a burial place for the kings of Tara, but it was also home to Dagda, the Danann king, whose name meant the Shining One. Dagda used his harp to defeat the Fomorians after fighting the ending of the Second Battle of Montura in County Sligo. During the battle, the Fomorians captured both Dagda's harp and his harper. Angered as only gods can be, Dagda determined to get his harper and his harp back. So he assembled his son Angus-Og, another god named Lu, and a warrior named Ogma, and followed the Fomorians back to their camp, where they were celebrating their victory. For having captured Dagda's harp, as well as his harper, was quite a feat. As the evening wore on and the Fomorian warriors consumed more and more mead and wine and ale, their sentries grew sleepy and their warriors' diligence waned, which made it all the easier for Dagda and his companions to sneak unseen into the banqueting hall. Dagda spied his harp. It was hanging on the wall above the Fomorian king's table, in a place of honor with all of the other trophies of war. Well, as drunken men will, the Fomorians started to sing. They sang the praises of their king, the stories of their victories, and even a sad lament for their fallen comrades. None noticed when Dagda joined the singing, though he sang a different song, one that was his secret way of calling his harp back to him. No sooner had Dagda begun to sing than his harp streaked across the hall, striking down all in its wake. Dagda caught the harp and began playing the three noble strains of Erin, which every great master harper was expected to have mastered. These were the Gultrai, or the strain of weeping, the Janatrai, or the strain of merriment, and finally, the Sinatrai, or the sleep strain, which lulled the Fomorian warriors into a deep sleep. And once they were asleep, Dagda and his companions took his harp and escaped the camp unmolested.